Welcome back everybody to the Nemesis recreation series. Right off the bat, as you can tell, I have raised the coaster using these three supports, and there's a good reason why I've done this. Nemesis has a lot of underground sections, and now because I don't want to use a boatload of, explosives and blow holes in my floor, like they had to do with the real Nemesis, I've actually opted for the slightly less explosive way of doing it. And I'm just going to build my own fake floor level. Clear that up in case people wonder why I'm not blowing holes in my floor. However, today I wanted to show you guys a little bit about how I sort of map out my recreations whenever I build them. So if we go over to the computer, you'll see a very nice paint.net document here with a grid. Now when I build my recreations, I usually download, as you can see, the sort of overhead plan for the coaster. Just before I do the whole mapping out with the grid method though, I like to build at least one small portion, and here I've built the station and the turn into the lift. I can then use that to judge how long I want my train to be, and then from that I can judge how many lengths of rods it's actually going to be for the station. And for this one I'm actually going to be using around 4 to 5 rods for the station. And that means I know how to resize this grid in order to have, there you go, 1, 2, 3, 4. So 4 there. Now in a recreation, I'm not too bothered about the station and that being a little bit smaller, so I can focus more on the actual, rest of the ride. Especially when I'm building indoors. Because if I built this like a true recreation, this would probably be a lot longer than I have space in my room. So unfortunately I do have to, downsize some stuff just so it fits in the room. But for those of you who have perhaps unlimited space, maybe you've got a really large basement or a big garden, you can use the grid method to perfectly map out any recreation that you're doing. This grid that I downloaded here, I think is about 27 boxes long. So what I usually do is I just get a bunch of these and I build them all in a row from one side of the room to the other. And then I'll know exactly how long my room is in sort of Knex terms. And then I can translate that into a grid. So this particular grid is about 27 granites and my room is about 30. So that's why there's a little bit of space here to account for the extra 3 grids. And this is basically saying that this is the length that I have for the brake run and the station. I believe it's about 14 or 15 granite rods essentially. 14 granite rods translates into 7 of these big grey ones. And starting right from the front here of the station, going all the way back, that is roughly how long the brake run and the station is going to be. Then I can build a little grid on the floor out of the just normal 2D pieces. And I can essentially use this grid like a map and just plot X and Y and count down how far it is. And then I know where each element goes. So for example, if I want to know where it goes underneath the station / brake run here after the corkscrew, all I have to do is build how long I want my station and brake run, and then, match the grid to a grid on the floor, and then just count down. Okay, so 2 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about 6 across, and that's roughly 5 or 6 across is where it goes under. And then you just use that to map out your recreation. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to build the straight section here out to the back of the brake run and then start work on the final turn. Oh, it got late quick. But at least we have some really good progress on Nemesis. I've got the final corkscrew done and it has enough speed to get round. Now obviously it doesn't go round slowly and then go over, because obviously Nemesis doesn't go over this part slowly, it goes over quickly. So when I do the test run I have to sort of throw it at a little bit of a pace, but yeah, let's give this a little go. Almost. Perfect. But yeah, it's so sturdy with, these, where I put loads and loads of grey rods. It's so sturdy that I can chuck it back from the station and it goes over. But yeah, this thing is coming along real nice. And the train is also complete as well. I'm just, I've got to replace this one to make it grey, and then I'm going to do the final white assemblies. I've only got, how many have I got? 3. I need to print 4 more assemblies to just keep it nice and white and light. Jeez, this has been a long Saturday evening. but I've made some big improvements to the inverted car, the front one specifically. So with the old front car system, you can see that it uses some sort of pin. You can see the front car attaches to a pin, and then that sits in a groove, which allows it to rotate without moving back and forward. But there's always so much play. There's a lot of, like, you can just see how much it rattles. And that's actually something that I improved on Shambhala. On the new one of the pieces will have a sandwich, and it will sandwich a screw in the middle. So you'll have the screw poking out the end like this. And on one of the pieces, you'll have an area where you can put a brass thread in. And then you can just thread the screw into there, and it's a fully stable joint. And it's much easier to spin as well. There's no friction because it's just brass. I've since improved it, and I've put a thing that's able to have a nice chain dog. This is where what attaches to the chain lifts. As you can make out there, there's an area for a screw to sit, and then there's the other half of it there. And once you screw the top plate on, the screw pokes out the end a few mil, and that screws into the front of there. There we go, I've got the screws on there, and then this just sits here, that screw, and then that flips over and sandwiches onto the top of here. And boom! Look how nice and neat that looks, how flush that looks. Now this here is just a little separate plate that's screwed in over the top to hold the chain dog in place, and that moves freely. But you're probably wondering, alright, so if it's this way up, then the chain dog falls down. It's going to be this way up, it's going to keep falling down. Well, how do you keep this up to attach to a chain? And that is what these small grooves, you can see it attaches right there onto the end. That's for an elastic band to go around. There you are, a little elastic band that I've shortened down, attaches in the groove there, means there's nothing poking out the front that can rub into the front car, and yeah, keeps it upwards, ready to attach onto the chain. And there you go, the new front car is complete. See just down there, the screw goes in, that allows full rotation. Not that it needs full rotation, but yeah, it's all complete. Just need to put the wheels on. Right, I've got to reprint this front bit because I accidentally took out the little grooves that the wheels sit in. I tried to put one in myself, it's too much effort. I can't be bothered.